Hello and welcome to the Legendary Backlog. We're glad you're here. In our show, we cover what we've been playing over the last week in a game over 5 years old in our 5 year Beyond segment. This is episode 12, and we'll be covering Bioshock Infinite. I am Brian, and you can find me at TryWinBrian on X. You can follow the show on Instagram and Facebook at the Legendary Backlog, and on X, you can find us at the Legend Backlog. If you listen to the show and you like it, please follow us on Patreon at the Legendary Backlog. It's free. It'll give you access to all our sites. We're just trying to build a community of people who love games. My partner is also Brian. Brian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Brian. Hello, I'm Brian, and you can reach me at Nostalgic Pixel on X, Blue Sky, and Instagram. I also have a YouTube channel, Nostalgic Pixel, and Twitch, Nostalgic Pixel TV, and lastly, nostalgicpixel.com. So, Brian, what have you been playing lately?
This week, I didn't play as many games, but I played a lot of the game that we're covering this week, Bioshock Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the games I got to play outside of it was I got to play Catherine full body for the first time.
Oh, cool.
I'm not sure if you ever played Catherine before.
Yeah, I have, but not a ton. But I have played it a lot. At least the first part. I know they had a demo I played a ton, but I had the game on like PlayStation 3, and I played it. It's a fun. It's an interesting game. Tell me more. What are your thoughts on?
At first, I didn't really know what to expect. I just knew that there was like two Catherines and a guy in between, which kind of signals like an affair or whatever, right?
Yeah, in a later version, they added a third Catherine.
Yeah, basically, what I felt from the game was that it's first of all, you can't play this around kids. You cannot play this around kids, and I recommend not play.
Although the gameplay itself is pretty innocent, it's the rest of the game wrapped around it.
Exactly. And you never know when you're gonna get to a cutscene because, well, basically the game centers around this puzzle game where you basically have to push and pull blocks and climb up this long tower, and the tower sinking from below you, so you have to do it a certain amount of time. The cutscenes are pretty good, and I really enjoy the story that's setting up, but I'm not sure how much I'll get to play it because, like I said, you can't play it around. I mean, even like the loading screen looks like a girl's underwear. It's like you cannot you cannot play this in front of your family. So it's pretty interesting though. I do want to see where it's going and get to the end.
And the gameplay climbing is a lot of fun, and the puzzle factor of it, and the stress of like the timing. You have to get it. You have to keep moving at a pace, or you're in trouble. So you're constant like scanning, looking above.
Oh yeah, it's very stressful for me, but it's fun at the same time because you definitely have to do trial and error, and it's not easy. Like, because if you play on normal, it's not easy to get up there. I think hard would be like insane or nightmare, whatever they call it.
Oh yeah, the difficulties when they go. No thanks. I can play it on normal.
But the cutscenes, though, I mean, you never know what's going to happen. It's going to be like three bros at a restaurant, or it's going to be like a guy and a girl in bed. You just never know what the cutscene is going to be. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's highly recommended to play alone. But I did enjoy what I did play of it, which was just about like an hour or two, but I really enjoyed it.
And in your experience, Brian, it would be like this too with your luck. Be playing through like an hour's a puzzle, and then just in this one brief clip cutscene comes in, like Mary walks in and go, "What are you playing?" Like, "Oh no, it's been a whole different game for like the last hour." Like, no.
Exactly. That's exactly what would happen. And my wife has this track record of always walking in at the worst time. Or a movie, it's like, when we watch some sci-fi movie for like an hour and a half, and she walks in the one sex scene, or something like that. It's a funny joke we have between us because she always walks in at the wrong part. I finally got to play Claire Obscure Expedition 33. I subscribed to Game Pass and I've been playing that. I really enjoyed it on Game Pass because I have two TVs that can run the Xbox game app, and also my computer can do it. So I can play the game like locally on my computer, or I can stream it through the cloud on my TVs. And I've really been enjoying that. Mostly I've been playing in the living room like I would on my PlayStation 5, but it's just the streaming's been really seamless. Like I haven't even noticed I've been streaming. And the game is in the game you run really fast, like all the time. And there's like a lot of stuff going on. So it's worked out pretty good. But this game, Brian, is just amazing, man. It's one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen. And it doesn't have the best graphics, but it has one of the best styles. Everything has this like kind of like painterly overlay, you know? And it's kind of like those paintings, not impressionism all the way, but you know, they're just kind of like not
Yeah.
fine, you know, just kind of like rough at the edges, right? So it has like this blur, this painting like blur to it that makes it look amazing. And the story is just like wow. I mean, like this, I heard the story was really good in this, but I didn't expect it to start off with such a bang. It's pretty crazy. I'm enjoying it. The fighting system is amazing because what they did was they basically added things for you to do whenever your opponent is on their turn, and basically they
Mm-hmm.
added like dodge and parry, right? Which you wouldn't think would change things that much for a turn-based game, but that totally changes it because you have to pay attention to each moment. Basically, in this game, it's you're not made to get hit at all. Like you need to dodge and you need to parry in order to win fights. Like, and I mean when I say dodge, like if you get hit like once or twice, it really hurts. So you know, you got to get the timing down on each enemy and things like that. Hopefully, if you can parry it, you get like all these special add on bonuses to your attacks and things. But it's changed turn based combat in a very good way. And I'm really excited to see what other developers start to do with turn based combat. Because one of the complaints about turn based combat is once you do your move, you pretty much just sit there and watch the enemy and then you do your moves, but this changes it completely because you're watching the enemy so closely because you know some of them it's not clear when they're going to attack, but you got to dodge and you got to parry. It's makes a really fun like always involved turn-based combat, which is great.
Yeah, and do you think this is a good one to like show your kids on how to play like turn-based games? It's a good example of a modern like turn-based for them to learn.
I don't think so for my kids because it's pretty like you have to be pretty on the I think like more mature gamers is would play this game, but it's a good game. I'm really excited to get to the end of it because I heard that the ending is just amazing, but it's about 30 hours, so it's gonna be a while before I get there. 30 40 hours is what I've been told. The last game I played this week was Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Ultimate. That game is just amazing. It just holds up so good. We got to do an episode on that game eventually.
Sure, and I have it on the PlayStation 4 version. That's right. What you were playing?
Yeah, we were playing the PlayStation 4 version too.
So nice they did that. I know that game came out on the PlayStation 3 generation, but it was so nice that they re-released it right off early in the PlayStation 4.
Yes, that PlayStation 4 release is like one of the best things that ever happened in that game.
And the ultimate version, right? So it's got all the extras, all the DLC, all the characters, right?
Yeah, it's got everything. So that makes it real nice. You don't have to worry about missing anything. My daughters have been playing Injustice like a lot. We're talking like they'll play it for like 3 hours straight, just fighting each other, and it causes a lot of fights, but they have a lot of fun.
Did it ever get used to settle fights?
No, that's a good idea though. Look, it's a little lopsided on who wins right now. You know,
Uh-huh.
I got a 14-year-old and 11-year-old, right? So you can
Yeah.
imagine it's a little lopsided.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
But they just love it, and they sit there and play it like I used to play Street Fighter Alpha and stuff like that. Basically, I tried to get them into a new game, and that's how I ended up playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Ultimate because I wanted to show them something that they would be into. And you know, I've tried before. I've tried to get them into the old school verses, and they really don't appeal to them. But I did get them into Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Ultimate a little
Oh,
bit,
good.
and they actually started to like it and enjoy it. So I'm hoping, because the thing is that they always play Injustice, and I'm trying to explain to them that I got like all these other fighting games you can play.
Yeah, there's all these other franchises that you just gotta explore. If you love the fighting genre, they're there.
Exactly.
But I bet there though you'd be a lot. It'd be easy when that Mortal Kombat collection comes out to get them into that.
I'm gonna try because the current Mortal Kombat is like I let Lizzie, my oldest, I let her go ahead and play Mortal Kombat, but my youngest I don't let play Mortal Kombat, so you know they can't play that together because I think that they would really like the current ones.
Is Injustice held back a little bit in the fact that it has DC superheroes?
Oh yeah, like you know, you don't see like blades going into people's eyes and like crushing bones and all that stuff. It's really held back. Injustice 2 is, like you barely ever see blood pretty much. Let's put it that way, right? But you see a lot of powerful
Mm.
moves and stuff that's really cool, but it's really held back. That's one of the reasons why I've let them play that for like years now. But I'm trying to get them off of it. I'm like, girls, there's other fighting games you can play.
Yeah, tons of great Capcom ones, Namco ones, Tekken.
I tried to make the mistake of having them play Dragon Ball game from Arc Systems Work, and they did not like that. I was like, how can you not like this? This is like some of the most beautiful animations ever put in a video game.
Well, I think you have to kind of get them into the anime for a little bit. Add to that.
Yeah.
Is there a Naruto fighting game? Oh, I think there is. Isn't there like a like a Namco Bandai like compilation, like of all their like properties into a fighting game? I think came out. What was it called? Something. I don't know. I haven't
I
played it.
know there is something like that, but I haven't played it either. I'm an anime fan, but I haven't watched Naruto because it's just so long that I'm afraid to get into it. Yeah. So what have you been playing, Ron?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. So I continued to play more Rock Band 2 now that I kind of have it set up and it was just easy and accessible. Uh, it didn't improve too much, but I had it was still fun hearing up some of these songs. It has such a great just choice. With this version of Rock Band 2, I also have all my I imported all the songs for Rock Band 1, and so you can see when you're scrolling through which ones are ones you downloaded. It's extra content, and then which ones came with Rock Band 1 and Rock Band 2. So that was fun because I wasn't like tearing it away, shredding like and just doing amazing on it. Is like, you know what? There's another rhythm game I've been playing, or more recently than Rock Band 2, as in like in the last, beyond the last few weeks, and that's Beat Saber, and and I have that for the original PlayStation VR.
Oh, I love Beat Saber. Like I would Beat Saber is almost worth getting a VR unit by itself.
Oh, definitely. I hate to say, but yeah, definitely, it's one of the killer apps. I like it a lot. I could see easily with anyone who got like like a Quest or or anything like that would Meta Quest would probably get this game easy. Just anybody who has a VR headset. This is definitely, I'm sure. Seems like there's a high amount of people that have play VR games. Chance they have this one, but it's a lot of fun. I've added songs that you could in the past DLC. They've kind of since announced that they're no longer supporting Beat Saber for PlayStation VR. That version, like, is for future music or whatever, so that's fine. But I can still use it. It's just like their new DLC for songs aren't going to show up there, but that's okay. I already spent plenty on it. So, but anyway, I wanted to play that so I could feel a little bit better about myself as far as rhythm games. It's like, okay, I'm not great at Rock Band, but I can hold my own, or at least feel a lot more successful in Beat Saber. So I was having fun doing that, and I hadn't played my VR in a while, and that's kind of one of the after playing Rock Band, it's like okay, another rhythm game, and that's where it went. Also, I had company in town this week, Brian. So I was when we were going out. There was a lot of times where I had just sit and wait for them to do whatever. So I brought my little handheld, like my Mio, actually the Mio A30. It's like the Mio Mini, but
It's the sideways one, right?
yeah, I was playing handheld games. Yeah, it's just the horizontal orientation. Yeah, so I was playing like I had a lot of time to play handheld games, or at least on that handheld. So I played, of course, California Games Surfing, and I played that on the Analog Pocket this week. I just remembered. I was excited because I played the first time I jumped into surfing. Like cold, go in. I get like a score of 960, which is for me. I can tell you that's extremely low, and that's not even trying. To do like a bunch of 360s. But the next one, I got over 5,000, and I was like, all right, it's not my highest, but it's in there. It's in there. It's closer. It's anyway. I'm so happy to go from 960 to 5,000, like something, which is like okay, now I'm good. And like I said, that's kind of how I that it's kind of warm up. But while I was out there, I was playing a PlayStation like game, Raystorm. It's like a spaceship shooter. It's in the screen is in a horizontal ratio, but it's going up, so it's a vertical on a horizontal ratio screen, which just means things come in from the top and you go forward. That was done in 3D, and it's gotten a re-release. Like there's a Raystorm HD that came out like on the PS3 and Xbox 360 era, and it's since come out on the on the PlayStation like 4 and 5 and the Switch, I think, digitally and stuff. So it's cool. It's just a it's a nice looking game. It looked good then, especially on that tiny screen. Those it's easy to look good on that. And then I was playing Mario Kart 64, which I'm trying to do like clear all the different cups with like gold at 150 cc. I'm having trouble on the star. The AI just seems to be so rubber banded on that version. Like it's like you're doing well, and the next thing you know, you're fifth. Right? It like usually happens again, like these like near on the last lap in the last quarter of the last lap.
I remember that. I remember getting those. That's tough. I played out of all the Mario Karts. I played Mario Kart
Mm-hmm.
64 the most because that was like I was in love with that game. Me and my sister both for like 6 months. We played that game for like 6 months straight. Like I even got to the point where I was doing time trials and like trying to beat my own score and stuff. And then my sister tried to beat my score, and we just go on and on and on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember now this game had already been out, but when I was when I was in college in the dorms, that was like the best opportunity to get four people playing Mario Kart. You just have your door open in your dorm room, people walk down the hall, and just or anybody's dorm room, like when you're walking around the dorm, it's just a lot of four-player N64 opportunities, especially with that one. With GoldenEye for sure. I remember Star Fox later on. It was like Rumble, and it was an attachment with batteries. But yeah,
Hey man, at least they came out with Rumble. We might not have it today, So
that was it seemed like a good time for it. Oh yeah, now we have haptic feedback, which is just even better. But did you ever play Raystorm?
I've never really played it, or I don't know that much about that game.
It's a neat, like I said, it's one of the things. It's like everything's in polygon, so it's a polygon like shoot 'em up. So it's like not sprite based. But it looks good too. It's I'll send you a link on it sometime. You might. I think there's a demo.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'd like to
Mhm.
play it, just to try it. I mean, especially if they re-released it on everything. I mean, it's got to be worth something, right?
Yeah, and you could play it on your Miu Mini as well, but or a lot of things. I think like I said, it's on the Switch or whatever. But it's one of those things that you can pick up, play for a little bit, and you can put down. So if you have 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour, or 3 minutes, you can get something done.
It's good. I like it.
But yeah, that's what I've been up to. So I guess let's get into the topic at hand.
All right, our 5 year beyond segment is Bioshock Infinite, a first person shooter video game developed by International Games and published by 2K. The third installment of the Bioshock series, Infinite, was released worldwide on the PlayStation 3, Windows, Xbox 360, and OS X platforms in 2013.
That's a 10. That's OS 10.
Oh, OS 10 platform
Mm-hmm.
in 2013. Sorry. The game is set in the year 1912 and follows the protagonist Booker White, who also is there in the city called Columbia in the sky to basically save this girl Elizabeth that has been trapped in a tower. That is where Bioshock pretty much kind of starts. He gets taken up to
Mm-hmm.
the sky, and then he's told to go rescue Elizabeth, and then basically the game breaks out from there. Not to ruin any story, but uh, kind of give me your 10,000 foot view of like Bioshock Infinite. What did you think going back to it?
Well, here I kind of want to go a little start with kind of the beginning of this before we dive into this game too much. But like so, as you mentioned, this is the third in the series, but it's actually the direct sequel and this next one that the studio that originally developed the first Bioshock made. And I think it's interesting that they call this one Infinite because the second Bioshock was called Bioshock 2, but when you call the third one Bioshock Infinite, someone kind of people have said like, how do you follow up with Bioshock 4? And there hasn't really been a follow up. But anyway, same studio as the original, and same creative designs on it, and it's a so my big view of it, it's just so the first one was underwater, and this one is in the sky, and then the whole vibe of like the colonialism, the of just like these people kind of stuck in time. They don't make it clear what time you're in, sort of, but you can definitely see what time they're kind of frozen in. it's neat to see how it is. It's very like Americans type of feel, but they're like the world is it's so imaginative and creative. Like you can almost believe everything is real based on like the engine rooms and how the technology is, even though it's totally fake. Like and it's a game, it's fantasy, but like the world it creates feels so real or possible, which is after a while. Of course, there's a lot of crazy special that you get like abilities. That's complete fantasy, but the world it creates is like you can almost believe this would be possible to do, which is cool. And I noticed it feels like the rhythm in the gameplay just is like explore, and then you get into combat, and then explore, and you kind of get into combat. And every time I explore, this is one of these games where I'm just constantly going around and like trying to collect everything, and I don't check every trash can, check every basket, check everything, which is kind of way I play Resident Evil games. I'm always looking for resources. Um,
I feel like you have to in this
yeah.
game, especially if you're using your powers. You need to look everywhere for that.
And what do you think about the gun situation? Like you have either a machine gun or a shotgun, but not both.
Well, later on, there's a sniper rifle, and
Mm-hmm.
there's like you can only have two guns at a time. There's like all different. There's probably like five different guns, and you can have two at a time. So what I always did was I kept the basically it's like a rifle, right? But it's not a sniper rifle.
Mm-hmm.
That one deals a lot of damage, especially because I put some points into it. The other thing is that I use the machine gun. Yeah, machine gun is the reason. Only time I use a machine gun is when there's one of those machines that control a machine gun that shoot at you. I
Yeah.
use it to take those out really fast because those will just destroy you.
Yeah, and also, Brian, like one of the things that's different, like as we were saying, like we're constantly scanning around everything for resources. If by doing that, I feel less pressure of like, oh, whatever. Like it seems like the fact that you can always loot the corpses and take their guns, kind of like in a Halo situation, where it feels like I can, hey, if I'm in this bad situation, I can just pick up this machine gun, clear the room, and then go back and pick up my rifle or shotgun or whatever. It's still there. Like it persists. The game constantly feeds you like ammo and stuff by defeating enemies because you can loot them, and so there's a nice balance with that, and it kind of at ease about resource management a little bit, that when you get into fights that you can have there's some recovery just by engaging in the.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with the fact that that you can use the resources that are around you during a fight, and even usually close to where there's a fight, there's like ammo or something like that, and
Yeah, sometimes it's a precursor that you're like, oh shit, something's gonna go down here. I can tell.
right, exactly. One of the things I want to bring up about the combat, because I actually played this game when it first came out, but I played it on the PC because it came with my graphics card. I had like two games that came with my graphics card. It was like the new reboot Tomb Raider and Bioshock Infinite. So it looked really good when I played it. It looks even better now in the definitive edition or HD, whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing about the combat is I didn't remember it being this bloody. It's pretty bloody. It's pretty out there. Like as far as like if you melee a lot, you're like knocking people's heads off and stuff like that. I didn't remember that at all.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting to see because I just kind of when I think about Bioshock, I just really don't think about too violence, but it is pretty a violent game.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it can be pretty brutal. It's just the art design and the lighting can help. But hey, similar thing here, Brian. This game, I also when I first got it, I got it on Steam for my Mac at the time. I had a PlayStation 3. I just at the we can also at the time this game came out, it was pretty long in that generation. So like the PC versions were definitely a big step up. And the fun part I had it recently got a new MacBook, and so it could play games. So I was like, I really want to play it on my MacBook that it's capable of playing it. And reason I like Steam is largely is if in the future I have other devices that are on different platforms, I can play it through Steam versus like in the App Store or whatever. But also, it's just going back and playing it now. I have like the PS4 HD collection that I can play on the PS5, and that's how I was playing it this week. And I played it before, just kind of picking up some of my old game saves and stuff and moving forward with it. And it's like I almost played through the game twice, but I only played through like the first. I know I hadn't played through it entirely yet, but I, it's funny we both got the PC version around when it came out. That's doesn't happen very often on my end, but that's cool.
Well, they pushed the PC version pretty hard on this game
Mm-hmm.
because the graphics were just amazing. They outdid the PS3 and Xbox 360
Oh yeah, they were struggling.
because it was at the end of their life cycles. But one of the things I'd like to bring up is the intro to this game, right? The intro is so
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, the artwork that they use and the lighting and the placement of objects and the water and the sky and everything is just so amazing. Look,
Yeah, the art style is. Yeah, I found myself this time playing it. I was taking screenshots left and right as it's playing. It's like this is beautiful. Click, click, click. I set up quickly my share button to take screenshots. I was just taking pictures everywhere. It's so pretty and serene and things. It's and it's got a level of not fully realistic, characters and caricatures of people and stuff. But it's just a pretty game.
yeah, and the intro leaves you with a lot of questions, right? Which get answered in the game, but like not to spoil too much, but basically you get launched into the sky, right? And then when you get there, there's like a whole group of people that are trying to make it into the city the same way you are, right? It makes you wonder like how many people are getting shot into the city, right? Pretty much like paradise when you first get there, but then you
Mm-hmm.
notice some things are really wrong, right? Like you don't like
Oh
you
yeah.
only see white people, for example, right? Uh because there's basically like a civil warfare going on in the town or the city. It's pretty interesting. I mean, it deals with a lot of dark stuff, right? Especially with Elizabeth,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, having her ability to tear worlds and things like that.
Yeah,
So
great tears.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it kind of blows your mind a little bit and just kind of like where things are going, right? It's like because after playing it the second time, I was like, well, is this world just a tear for Elizabeth that she stays in, you know, or not,
And
right?
am I part of her terror? Like.
Yeah, like, do I really exist, or
I was gonna say, and because this isn't the first Bioshock, these are the kinds of questions that the first Bioshock left us thinking about in this one. Like we, having played the first one and know the story and how that worked out, and what the game developers were able to do. So with this one, you're constantly thinking, okay, you're just really curious about it all, asking those questions. It's really neat.
I thought it was really neat the way they handled the city in the clouds with the sky rails.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a really neat part of the game.
Oh yeah, the mechanics and the fact and legitimacy, like the sky rails and how they, connected all the floating platforms and everything. It was neat and it was fun to do. It was, enjoyable. It was like a roller coaster at times. Just the whole world was so
It
believable.
is real believable, and it feels like it all makes sense. You start to ask yourself, maybe there could be a city in the sky.
Mm-hmm. And why haven't we done this?
The thing about the skylines I really liked is when you first get there, you're seeing these big, huge boats or trains going through the air. You're like, wow, that's just amazing. Then you realize they're riding skylines, and then you get the ability to ride skylines yourself, which is pretty
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And then you can like level up, certain things about Skyline based on your build or your gear. Like I had one that allows you to speed up and stop instantly. That was a piece of gear for the Skyline. It was pretty interesting. One of the things about the gear is I didn't like how they don't give you like a screen to see your character and basically look at your gear. When you come across a new piece of gear, you have to compare them, and the way you compare them is like click a button, see what this one is. Click a button, see what this is. You have to choose if you take it. And if you choose if you take it, it's like the other one's just like gone, right? It's like no getting back. That was a little frustrating from a person that likes gear and stuff like that in video games. But
Yeah, I noticed that too. Like like you're saying, like there's no screen to see what gear do I currently have equipped. It's only when you run across a different type of gear, um, that it's like it feels like a way. But I mean, there's got to be because they do give you an option to like if you find a new piece of gear and you don't want to equip it, you can still take it.
yeah, you could take it. and equip it, but then I think it like discards the last one. The way I thought about it was, it's the whole time in this game you're pretty much on the run because there's like a whole bunch of people after you, and then you get mixed up in a civil war type
Hmm.
thing, and you help them out, and the whole time it's like you're on the run pretty much. It's like every time battle starts, it's just like you get through this battle, then you're basically, moving to the next spot, moving to the next spot, moving to the next spot.
Yeah, yeah. It's a definitely linear game that kind of guides you around, and it's a really great in it the way they're unfolding the story and showing it to you because it's definitely like so crafted. Everything your experience, it's which is a different experience than like a real open world game. It just shows you when it's done like this, it can be extremely effective and awesome.
Yeah, how'd you feel about the backstory, the kind of like flashbacks that Booker gets?
It was interesting because like after the first one, you have yourself second guessing who's Booker, what's going on with all this, and so it makes a lot of questions. But I also like when you're playing the game when you pick up like a voice recorder and listening to those, or when you walk by like a kaleidoscope that you can kind of look in and kind of gives you some more backstory of the place and kind of fills in details. And like you said, when you're walking around the world, or it's like in Colombia, it's like everything seems perfect at first, but then as you start looking closer, you see all the cracks and then the problems, and moving forward, like you get to walk around and explore the place for a moment before everybody starts shooting at you. It's fun that way, and again, it's a first person shooter, and it's like there's a lot of gunplay, and then there's like a lot of fantasy. Either you can use like special powers out of one hand, or shoot guns from the other hand, and they all clever ways of using them.
Which special power did you use the most?
I like the devil one, and I had upgraded it to where not only did I throw like a bomb, like I threw a bomb that kind of exploded out further and took out other groups, but I also enjoy like the ability. I don't know. I play around. They give you like quick abilities for like two of them that you kind of bounce back and forth. And so another one I liked is the mind control. That was fun.
Yeah, I like the Raven one
Hmm.
because, like, I like casting the Raven because you could just run. They're just like, oh my god, there's ravens here. We're gonna forget we're in a gunfight.
Yeah, and everyone won't start. They'll stop shooting at you and shoot at the ravens. That's a great one too. That's usually the one I have on a backup.
I like that one. Whenever there's like a huge crowd of people, or that I could just because you can walk up and just melee them while they're dealing with the crows.
Oh yeah, you throw the crows out and just start running around and punching them out.
The devil one, that basically shoots fire and it like melts people. I
Hmm.
use that a lot too. There's some clever times to use that. Like you'll walk up on a group of people and they're praying to the prophet, which we probably need to talk about the prophet anyways.
Yeah, go ahead and tell us some more about that.
But you could just cast that devil magic and just like take them all out at once they start to turn. Darn you.
And since this is the next Bioshock, it's nice that these abilities are largely new abilities, and they're not just completely this or anything that like from the previous one handing them over again. So like the crows, like you said, those crows are really special. Not only can they do a lot of damage, like you said, they can distract everybody, so you're not getting shot at from like five people.
It's really nice. The prophet. So when you get to the city, it's basically like you can't help but notice the prophet. I mean, there's like signs everywhere. There's statues everywhere of this prophet. There's all these kind of things about him there. And as you walk through and you actually get to the city, you see more and more and more propaganda and stuff over this prophet. There's some interesting things. One of the things I came across about the prophet was is that he told this guy to write his book, and he said it's going to be 100 pages long. And then the guy's like, "Well, you could sell 1,000 page book easily," and he's like, "No, 100 pages. I know how it ends." So he like plays the part of the prophet, like he can see the future and everything. And pretty much, there's this thing called the rapture coming, right? The savior of everybody is not the prophet; it's actually his daughter, Elizabeth, right? We're not really sure, like, hey, is that really his daughter or not? But he basically kept her locked up forever because of her, number one, her powers, and number two, that she was supposed to be the savior of the city. And what did Booker and Elizabeth end up doing? Is basically destroying the city. Yeah. that's basically a little bit about the Prophet there.
Also, what I found interesting kind of with the Prophet is at first, like you see all this stuff on the Prophet, and it's this young man, and they is just, you see the young man version of the Prophet, and as the game develops and stuff, you start getting on these old videos where you see an old man being the Prophet. And what I thought that was interesting in that, like, you're still when you're playing this game, you're kind of mentally trying to place when this is and how long this has been going on by seeing the prophet and all these statues and things and paintings where he's all young, and then later getting like these videos and stuff where he's older. I thought it was interesting. It makes you like, how long has this been going on? And it kind of raises a lot of questions, which is fun.
I like how they mix the combat together and everything, and I like how it mixes the story together. It felt like the story with the Prophet and Elizabeth. It felt like you really had a reason to get into combat. Some games it's just like you're just the combat's what gets you. But I think in this game it's the story. The combat for me was fun.
Story kept you playing.
Yeah, the story kept me playing, right? But my major problem with the combat is that they would have made L2 the zoom in button for the gun. It would have played just like Call of Duty, right?
Did you go into options this time and look at any of the control setups or whatever?
Yes, I did. I went to options several
Mm-hmm.
times trying to change it, but they only have one alternative change, and it only changes two buttons, and it's not the ones I want. The controls could have been a little bit better mapped out. I do think that the combat's good, but the gun combat is kind of it's showing its age. Let's put it that way, right? But the story and the environments are just amazing.
I think this game is about 10 years old now.
Well, it came out in 2013, so it's about 12 years old now.
Yeah, 2013. Yep.
12-year-old game on the 12th episode. I wonder if that's a coincidence.
Not if we can help it.
Kind of, what are your final thoughts on Bioshock?
I remember my just first experience with the franchise just a little bit is that when the first one came out, I had recently had acquired like Xbox 360 Elite. So I had a system to play it on because when it first came out, it was largely besides like PC, the first one, it was on 360. And I was just I mean, I had played too many different. I had played some games on my Xbox 360, but this was like a first, like I'm buying exclusives for it or whatever. But I had a lot of fun. It was so much fun with it. I was shocked on how good the story was and how it captivated me in. So when Infinite came out, again, like I knew that it was the same studio and they were going to tell this story that I just wanted to go through, and it's been a lot of fun, that game. And I thought it was funny now. Like when I first got it, I got it on my computer and I was playing with a game controller, and now I'm playing on the console with a game controller. And I kept thinking, man, keyboard and mouse, I kind of want to try that out again. Did you ever play it on keyboard and mouse, or was it just controller?
When I played on the PC, I played keyboard and mouse because like that's my preferred thing on PC is keyboard and mouse. I use a controller if it's like a controller game,
Yeah.
like a Mortal Kombat or something like that. But yeah, I do love the keyboard and mouse input. And to be honest with you, first person shooters is like the best
It is.
because you just point and click where you want.
There's less frustration for sure. It just seems I've just gotten so good with the keyboard and mouse over the decades, and even didn't even take that long. But yeah, I was just thinking too, like that could fix like an like you were talking about the configuration for the controller frustration that you had could be resolved with like a keyboard, wouldn't it? Or did it?
Oh yeah, yeah, I think the keyboard and mouse, as far as the gameplay goes, as the shooting and stuff like that, it definitely tightens that up because there's no real like aim assist or anything like Call of Duty has or something like modern first person
Yeah.
shooters. So like you can literally just like swing right over people. You have to like take your time to aim in this game. It doesn't take much, but when like 6 or 7 enemies are fighting at you,
And you're nailing them all with headshots. It's pretty sweet.
you have to take your time to aim to get those headshots and stuff. My final thoughts on Bioshock Infinite is that coming back to it, I'll say this. I loved the game when I first played it, but my opinion of the game had kind of gone down over the years. Like when I first played it, I was like, wow, this is a masterpiece everybody will remember forever. And then my opinion kind of slowly degraded. But going back to it, that's got my opinion back up there again. I think, you hear the term environmental artist in the industry, and whoever was the environmental artist for this game, the whole group of people, they just deserve all the props of the world. The environments are just so beautiful, and during the action scenes, they're so dynamic.
And they're just getting used to the scale of Colombia and the world they built. It was just incredible. Like, we were talking about how this is kind of believable. Why can't we have flying cities in the sky? But its scale is just huge. It's great.
Yeah, it's so big. It's almost like a flying state instead of a city.
Like you said, the cityscapes and stuff looking out were just so great. Like you can see way out into the sky where you're going to end up eventually at some point. And so like you play through the game, and yeah, later on, like you're all the way on the other side of that. So it's
And looking back, I think the gameplay as far as the powers, I think that's pretty solid. The shooting is a little bit showed its age for me. But overall, the story is what really captivated me, and I forgot how great the story was. I forgot all the beats because I got pretty far into it this time. I didn't beat it, but it made me remember the ending, which was pretty cool. Yeah, it brought up a lot of questions and answered a lot of things, but ultimately, I would highly recommend this to somebody if they played like Bioshock 1 or they haven't played any Bioshocks. This is one I would recommend. I think you should start with the first one, but this is definitely a great game if you've missed it.
Yeah, I'd say you don't have to start at the first one, but definitely it's worthwhile trip to play the first one, and also it kind of informs your thoughts when you're playing the second one. And also, we were talking about the character design. Like Elizabeth is like a Disney princess, like her character, like her just not her actions or person, but just like the character model. She's a very enchanting person. You definitely want to follow around, but like she's almost looks like a Beauty and the Beast Belle sort of, or then a combination of other Disney princesses. So they definitely had an art style they were going for, and they achieved it so well.
Yeah, they did achieve it. And the art style is kind of like, if you notice, the art style was a little bit like their heads are bigger than their body or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, especially Elizabeth, right? She's got this small frame body, but she's got this big head. It works though. They did nail it off.
And it balances a little bit some of the violence if the characters are kind of a little bit, anthropomorphic, where they don't necessarily, or they don't look totally, they're not going to a full level of realism.
Yeah, you'll get through ripping people's heads off and like shooting all these people and stuff and helping out, and then all of a sudden Elizabeth will just stop and she'll say something like really calming. She
Mm-hmm.
really helps out with the whole like pacing of the game.
Or she like freaks out and she's like, "You're a monster,"
Yeah.
and you're like, "Hey, I really didn't have a lot of choice here." And like sometimes the game gives you choices. You want to go this way or that way on an action. Like I was trying to buy tickets for like a Sky Ferry or whatever, and the guy was ignoring me, and it was like, pull out your gun or make a stronger demand for tickets, and it's like you could choose in whichever one you chose is kind of how it was going.
Which one did you choose?
I chose the stronger demand, and I don't know if that worked out as well, but
That's what I chose too. I was wondering what the other choice
it's
did.
like I thought pulling out my gun was a little too early. Just like I didn't feel like I was at that level. Like it's like the conversation.
The whole point is after that scene she thinks you're a monster, right? After that she kind of.
Yeah, and then you show her hand, and she's like, "Oh, okay, I see. You didn't start this interaction. You kind of."
But if you would have pulled the gun first, she would have done the same thing, right? It's like, she would think you're a monster because you pulled the gun 1st.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's funny because she kind of puts up a fight about killing people. And then, like, later on, you just killed like 20 people in front of her, and she's like, it's okay.
And then she completely changes too. Like, she goes to like, oh, that's, you kind of teach her to shoot first. And then she's like, oh, okay. She goes off with her powers and comes back. You're like, what have you done? I turned her to a monster.
I love how she gives you ammo in a fight. That's so awesome. I use that all the time.
Yeah. And they did a really good job. We hadn't mentioned like the fact that a lot of the time you're escorting around with Elizabeth. It doesn't feel like an escort mission in a game is so much entirely that she's very independent and very capable, and you don't have to hold her hand throughout the game. There are points where you have to like help her out, and then sometimes there's also points where she's not around. They did a really good job of making sure that you didn't feel like you're just escorting her around to where you had to kind of constantly keep track of her. So that was good.
Yeah, she just tags along.
Yeah, she's very independent, largely.
I mean, you can run You could go all the way across a part of the map and turn around. There's Elizabeth. You don't have to worry about her at all.
Yeah, and like you said, she throws you ammo and points out certain things that you should pay attention to, and she can unlock doors and use picks, and she can be very resourceful and independent. Such a great story, and they even added like, did you ever play the DLC, The Burial at Sea, where they kind of revisited Bioshock a world with her?
No, I didn't. Have you?
I've heard mixed. I haven't yet, but I heard mixed things on it. But I mean, this game by itself was so good. I could see how DLC might, in some ways, like additional storylines, may not have panned out as well because they had told a whole story. And as we mentioned, there hasn't really. I don't think there hasn't been any sequel to this series after Infinite, right? I remember
No.
initially after this came out, they kind of like sacked the whole studio and kept Ken Levine, was the creator of the studio. There's been talk about bringing it back, and he had to rebuild his studio and make another one, but there hasn't been a sequel since, right?
Yeah, there hasn't been one, and it's a shame the studio got basically shuttered because if this the problem is 2K published this game. They published like NBA 2K and Grand Theft Auto, stuff that brings in a lot of money. I mean, this was a good seller, but it wasn't like a money making cow.
Yeah, like the first one was a big risk, because it was a new in the franchise, and they're just kind of and it did so surprisingly well that yes, 2K being a big publisher reached out to another studio and said get working on the sequel, and so that's why this Irrational Games didn't necessarily make the sequel. They're already working on the third one, which is this one, so they just kind of went back to back on that. But yeah, 2K is their publisher. Like you said, sports games are annual, so they're rushing getting out the.
Or Grand Theft Auto printing billions. So
Mhm.
what I'm saying is that another, like, if Sony would have owned the studio, for example, that Bioshock Infinite came out, then they wouldn't have shuttered it. I don't think they would have made them make another game, right? Because it's just so amazing game. But it's a product of the industry.
Yeah, and the time in the industry.
So what are you up to this week, Brian?
Well, I just had company for about a week, so I'm looking forward to what's coming up next. I mentioned before I published some stuff on my website. There's a couple more ideas of things I want to write out. So I plan on doing more, posting some more stuff about movies and some games. I have the Memory Lane series that I started on my YouTube channel, and before I necessarily make a video on it, I was thinking I was going to write my thoughts out on it. Kind of like not necessarily a script, but just more of an written article for those ideas, and just work from there. I'm gonna have the house by myself this week, so I got a lot of house cleaning when you have company. That's for sure. So I might see about inviting some friends over or something now that my house is so spotless. We'll see. Maybe we can get some co-op games going.
Sounds good, man.
How about yourself?
I'm going to a birthday party tonight, which is supposed to be pretty fun. It's for my brother-in-law. He's turning 60. After that, I'm gonna be going over to a family's house for 4th of July this week coming up. Yeah, pretty much that's my plans. I'm gonna get some gaming time in between somewhere, but lately it's been a little tough to get gaming time because it's been spending so much time with the family. But I'm gonna focus on the games we're doing for the podcast. Try to get through Expedition 33 slowly. Keep on working on that. Where can people find you, Brian?
Before I jump into that, I just wanted to say a little bit more. And what it is I was going to say is that after playing Bioshock Infinite, for this, to talk about it, I believe I'm going to continue playing more of it. I kind of got myself out of a stuck point that I had left my old game save on and moved forward into it. So I'm looking forward to finishing it. Also, because I haven't finished it, I knew I couldn't spoil it too far in the game. That was kind of nice. But where people can find me, Brian, online is at Nostalgic Pixel, and that's it on X, Blue Sky, and Instagram, as well as like my website, nostalgicpixel.com. And I mentioned my YouTube channel as well, and is Nostalgic Pixel. And you can catch me streaming on Twitch at Nostalgic Pixel TV. How about yourself, Brian?
You can find me at Trywin Brian on X. We want to thank you for listening to the show. And if you liked it, please give us a 5-star review on your podcast app of choice. You can follow us on Patreon at the Legendary Backlog. It's free. It'll give you access to all our sites. We're trying to build a community of people who love games. See you next time.